was a debut author many years ago, I got both good and bad advice. Last week we talked all about terrible advice you should never follow as a new author on our weekly Q&A hangout session here on Instagram. Today we're breaking down 5 really good pieces of advice that I got when I was a baby author back in the day. So if you're jumping in and joining me, let me know where you're joining me from and let me get into today's conversation as we chat all about the good advice that I was given as a brand new author. And so as you know, this does change a little bit of the way that we put things up, so run with me here as I'm changing my graphics. The first and most important thing that I'm going to share with you today is that you should never, ever sign any contract, any paperwork without a publishing lawyer looking it over. Now, I know some people will have agents, but agents don't count. Those people are middlemen to bring you to big name publishers, not medium, not small publishers. They're there to bring you to those big name publishers, and they do not know the law. They are not trained in legal things, and so while they understand different contracts, while they can break things down for you, they're legally not allowed to be giving you advice on your contracts, and they don't know the full extent of the law. They are not looking out for you because they have skin in the game too. They're trying to get the best profit for themselves, which usually works in your favor, but not always. They might have deals going with the publishers so that they can get other clients in the door too. So the only person who's going to be on your side for this is your publishing lawyer. The only person who understands the law is your publishing lawyer. The only person who's only looking out for you and nobody else but you is your publishing lawyer. And if you don't go through a publishing lawyer before you sign your contracts, you're going to get yourself in a lot of hot water with a lot of different publishers because they will sneak in clauses that work to their benefit and not yours. They will rights grab. They will do things that is in their favor and not yours. And some of them are being malicious about it, and some of them are not being malicious about it. Some of them are just trying to get the best deal for themselves. But you always have to make sure you've got that publishing lawyer on your side. Bonus tip, remember my story. I keep telling it in videos and in live streams and all the places. My publishing lawyer looked at a contract for me and said, you need to not sign with them. I can't tell you why, but I have other clients that have worked with them. Don't do it. And so they weren't able to break that confidentiality, but they were able to warn me off. And thank goodness they did, because it came out that that publisher was, that's right, stealing from all of their authors to then pay off other authors for the legal fees when those authors found out was a disaster. So don't ever sign contracts or paperwork without having a publishing lawyer look over it. And they're easy enough to get because some of them work on sliding scales, some of them it's an upfront fee. You just have to do your research to see what's going to be best fit for you and for them, and just to handle the small things that you need. But it's 100% worth. If you're paying up front, it's 100% worth it just to have them look over the contract before you sign something. If you feel comfortable going with that publisher and you feel good and you've had your meetings and all of the things, just have them double check it and pay it up front. It is 100% worth it to make sure you are legally protected with these contracts. Hello and welcome from Alabama. Hey, hello, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. Today we're talking about good advice that I got as a baby author. Now, another thing that was really, really important is that you need to be studying your genre's covers. So whether you're creating your cover, if you're indie, if you're hiring somebody to create it, if you are working with a traditional publisher and they're hiring somebody, you have to have a genre specific cover. So what that means is that each genre has specific expectations. Just like with the stories, we're looking for well-known tropes, we're looking for, different types of characters and different storylines and different plot development specific to that genre. That's what people look for when they are reading retellings or dystopians or fantasy books or magical academy books or whatever it happens to be. Similarly, they are looking for those recognizable things on covers. So if you pop up a cover and it just doesn't make sense, let's say I have something like this and it's a magical academy book. That's not really going to sell to the magical academy genre, is it? Let's just say we've got something, oh gosh, I don't know. Mine are all really genre specific. Let's just say you've got things that don't make sense. Let's say you've got like super glowy. Oh, I know what I can show you. Let's say we've got a cover like this that's super glowy and it's got the background the way that it is in the flying dress. And let's say this was a contemporary high school romance. Like this does not say contemporary high school romance. You're looking for hand-drawn pictures of a cutesy girl and guy, or just like the legs of a guy and a girl tangled up in like a hug on the grass, like whatever. We're looking for very specific things, and if people don't recognize those things, they're going to look away because they're going to assume that's not what they're looking for. So you have to study the genres, covers, and those expectations, and make sure your cover has those tropes, those expectations, those specific colors, the specific type font. There are certain variations within the genre, so you can play with it a little bit, but there are definitely building blocks that you have to be using inside of your covers for them to sell and sell properly. If you're just jumping in, hello and welcome. We're talking all about good advice I got as a brand new author, debut author 4.5 years ago. And I'm bringing you all that information that I got on the good side. Last week we did the bad advice that we should never, ever, ever follow. This week we're talking all about the good advice. And if you hear that soft little breathing in and out, you are listening to my dog. Jada is sleeping right next to me, and I have realized she's being a little bit loud as she's breathing. But I'm glad that you're all here and jumping in. Another really good piece of advice that I was given as a young author is don't take forever to write a book. If your book is taking you more than a couple of months, it's probably never going to get done. You're never going to get to the point where it is ready and acceptable to go out in the world. If you're being a perfectionist over it, or if you're struggling and you don't know where to go and you just take years to write a book, there's a very good chance it's not going to go out in the world. And that's not true of everyone. Some people will get there and some people do need a little bit more time. But if it comes down to procrastinating because you're not sure where to go and you don't know how to plot your book and you don't know what you want to do with it, or you're getting distracted, or you're not putting the effort into it, or this is a hobby rather than a job, or if any of these things are happening that you're not allowing yourself to move forward because you keep going back to fix things and change things, and the beginning's not perfect, so you can't write chapter 2 and all the things, there's a very good chance that book is not going to get out into the world. So you have to understand that you need to write your book and then go back and revise it. It does not have to be perfect the first time. You can create a terrible story, but if you have that foundation, then you can go and fix it. If you don't have a foundation, you can't go anywhere. So do not take forever to write a book. If you have a book in mind, if you are going to be writing a book and you want to be a professional published author making money from your stories, you have to get that story out no matter what. And you need to set a time limit for yourself and get it done. A couple of months max to get a book done just for your first round. Then you can go in and revise it and edit it and change things and get feedback from people, and you can move forward from there. I'm not talking like start to finish done. I'm talking your first draft, your beginning to your end in that messy form needs to be done within a couple of months so that you can put in the work and effort and fix it. And then, of course, building upon that, if you do want this to be professional and you want it to be your full-time income, you can't take forever with your books. We're talking 1-2 months tops for your book to write and to do your drafting and your revising so that it's ready to go. Couple of months and you should be fully prepared with your book so that you can then work on the process of getting it out there and handling your cover, handling your formatting, handling your editing with your professional editor, or querying it to a traditional publisher, all of those things. So don't take forever to write a book, because if you do, chances are it's probably never going to get done. If you're just jumping in and you have questions, I would love to get those answered for you. We are chatting about good advice I got as a baby author, a debut author back in the day. Now, another thing that I was told, and this is really important, y'all need to hear this, do not expect to make sales right away in your business. You're not gonna. When you write your first book, everybody has this magical, glowing, glamorous idea that you're going to put your first book out and become famous, and you are going to make all the money and do all of the great things on your first book. But unless your book is with a traditional publisher who is giving you thousands upon thousands of dollars to market your book, your debut novel will not make you money, and it will not make you famous. But you can't give up. You have to put that book out there, and then you have to put another book out there, and you have to build up a backlog. You got to get a number of books under your belt and learn how to market them really, really well. So it is very, very much something that you can do to create an income, a full-time income, $1 million income from your stories. People do it a lot, but you've got to do it the right way, and you have to understand your very first book, if it is indie published, if it is from a small publisher, a medium-sized publisher, or even one of the big publishers and you're not the favorite, is not going to be your breadwinner. It might make your most income in the long run of your career, but right off the bat, it's not going to make you a ton of money. So be aware. It takes time to write your book. It takes time to get your book out there and market it. And it takes time to make income from that book once it's out in the world and you're marketing it. Just prepare yourself for that and don't rely on that income. You need to be making another source of income because your first book isn't going to do it for you for probably, if you're really exceptionally good and you're putting a ton of money into marketing, you can make some money. You can cover your costs in the first couple of months, but most people, it takes a couple of years to actually make money in this industry and multiple books out. If you've got questions, if you've got ideas or comments or topic ideas we should be talking about, go ahead and drop them down below. I do have, I think it's one more piece of good advice that I got as a debut author many years ago that I want to pass on to you. And so we are answering your questions and doing all the things. If you're just jumping in, hey, hello, and welcome. We're breaking down good advice that I got as a debut author. Last week was the bad, terrible advice we should never listen to. And this week is all about the good, fun stuff. So when it comes to co-writing, I got some really good advice. And this is something I pass on to everybody. Because when you are co-writing, that means you are forever connected to the person you are co-writing with. And you have to be exceptionally careful because there could be a lot of things that go wrong. A lot. You could get into a fight with that person. And if they're not someone like your spouse or your sister, they can just up and go. It can be a total breakup. It could be a friendship breakup. It could be whatever. They could do something wrong. I have seen authors get themselves in a lot of trouble because they run their mouths on social media and the industry turns on them. I've unfortunately had a friend of mine who was in a working relationship, not writing a book together, but like they were doing something in the industry, a project together, and her co-person that ran the thing did some not so great comments on social media, and everyone came for them. The industry came for them. And because she was associated with this person, she did not do the posting or the commenting. She did not say anything about it, and she specifically spoke out about it. But because she was associated with this person, they tried to cancel her too, even though it had nothing to do with her. Whoever you're working with in this industry, you are forever tied to them. Your name is forever tied to them. So unless that person is truly not going anywhere, and I'm seriously talking spouse, sibling, parent, like someone you are related to in some way, you have to be super careful. And that's not to say that every partnership goes bad. It doesn't. I do know a lot of really great people who co-write together and they just do so well. Their books are great, their sales are great, they love their relationship together, they are like platonic life partner kind of a thing, like it goes really well for them, but I've seen way too many break as they are going. And then you have to move forward and deal with the drama of whatever they did, whatever you did, whatever it happened to be, drama of consistently having to stay in contact with them, and then having to deal with the money side of things. Now, this has shifted a little bit because until the last couple of months, I think within the last year, there was no way to split royalties with co-writers. One person got the money, and then that one person was responsible for giving it to the other person. So there was a lot of potential problems there. Some of the platforms now allow you to actually split it, and they do the splitting for you. So before you're paid, half of it goes to you, half of it goes to that person, or however it is that you divide it. So now we have some more resources for that, but back in the day and until very recently, that was not a thing. And so you would be connected to that person's name, the things that they do forever. So even if you split now and they do something crazy in the future, you're still connected to them. And in the future, you're still connected via that money and the legal, everything that goes with these stories. So be exceptionally careful of who you co-write with. But also beyond that, you have to make sure you have a really good match. For me, it never made sense for me to co-write with somebody because I can write a full-length novel in 9.5 days and nobody can do that. That's a good friend of mine. There are a couple of people that can write faster than me, but we're not friends. We don't chat. Like we're like, yeah, you on social media, but we don't actually talk. And so for me, it would be a terrible idea to co-write just because I would write really fast and they would not, and we would get really annoyed with each other. But then should something happen, we would have that issue. And let's be honest, this happens more often than not. Friendship breakups, those are not fun friends. I've been through some of those. Crazy people have not made things easy all of the time, and if I have been in a working relationship with them in this way, now the drama we would have to go through would not be pleasant. And so you have to be careful who you are co-writing with, because it could potentially be really, really bad when you are moving forward in the industry, especially if you go in different directions or you have different things to worry about or be thinking about. So let's just recap. Let's go over those 5 good pieces of advice that I got when I was a baby author. The first, and I'm actually reading this over here, so just run with me, is to not ever sign a contract without a publishing lawyer. You have to have a publishing lawyer. An agent doesn't count, and you, as smart as you are, as good as you are at reading contracts, like, y'all, I'm a freaking shark when it comes to reading contracts. I still don't sign things without a lawyer looking them over. You always have to make sure that you're studying the covers in your genre, the genres, apostrophes, their covers, so that you know what the tropes are, so that you know what the expectations are, so that you get a good cover that actually sells your book, because people recognize it as whatever genre it is that you have written in. Do not take forever to write a book. If you do, chances are it's probably not going to get written. So write your messy, icky, whatever draft, and then move forward from there. Build that foundation, and you're good to go. The 4th thing is do not expect, because I can read and speak, do not expect to make money right off the bat with your book. Chances are you're not going to make money for a few months to a few years on your stories, and that's if you are actively putting out more and more and more stories, and you're getting really good at marketing, and you're doing a ton of collaborations, and you're putting money into ads and all of these things. Money from this industry is hard to make, especially at the beginning, and you really have to build yourself up if you want an income, a full-time income, or to bring in a ton of money. If you want to bring in those $1 million, you got to work on it. And yes, it is possible. I do know people who make $1 million off of their books every year. It is not me, but there are people that I'm friends with that do it. And the 5th one is that co-writing means you are forever attached to that person. You have to be extremely careful if you are going to get into a relationship, a working relationship in any way, shape, or form. Not even necessarily just co-writing, but if you're running things together, or if you're hosting different things together, and events, and anything that's not just a flash in the pan event, you are forever connected to that person. You've got to be really, really careful with that to make sure that you are taking care of yourself and your books and your career and your publishing world stuff and just all the things. So you gotta make sure that you take the time to study the industry, study the market, and really know who you are going to be working with, because all of these things will influence and decide the fate of your author career if you're jumping into this industry. It's not easy at first. You do have to work to build it up, and there's a lot of time and effort that goes into it, and money, and work and effort, and just all of the things to build up your presence inside of this industry, to make money and to thrive and succeed inside of the author world. If you've got questions on this, I would love to hear from you. And if you have a topic idea for next week, I would love to hear from you too. Go ahead and drop those down in the comments. We are about to wrap up today's conversation, and I need you to go leave a comment on this video. It should be up in the next minute or so. It does take a hot second for it to post to my feed, but the comments here don't count over there. So help your girl out. Go leave a comment. Let me know which is your favorite piece of advice from today's conversation. They'll be listed in the comments if you need them. And I will see you again next Tuesday for another livestream Q&A Ask Me Anything on a topic here on Instagram. Friday, open Q&A on TikTok. And, oh yes, if you haven't been paying attention, tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, which is less than 3 hours from now, we're going live on Amazon. I'm bringing 3 surprise authors to pitch their stories to you. You get to come see if a story is going to be the perfect fit for you and grab a copy while we are live on air without ever having to leave the live stream. It's going to be lots of fun. We're going to have a great time today, and we're going to build up our presence on Amazon, who just kind of screwed me over on this live stream thing. So now we need to help me out, get a lot of people there, and show them that they're, yeah. And we're going to make it better. We're going to fix it. And so I need to see you tonight and every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can go to bookfairlive.com. That'll redirect you right to the live stream for tonight. So it's Book Fair Live for our Book Fair live stream tonight, and I will see you there. I'll see you next week for our Q&A here, and on Friday for our Q&A on TikTok. Until then, I hope you have a great day and stay inspired. Bye, friends.